Hi, this is Melissa Stubenberg of Kailani Farm, and I'm here with the third vlog for Hoku for the U.S. Event Horse Futurity. Like many of you, I've been working remotely when I can free up my desk from my furry roommates. I've gotten my COVID vaccine, so I'm ready to be out and about. Been dealing with muddy horses like Porter here, as well as muddy dogs like Dougie here. We've also been dealing with continuing our training of Hoku, my 4-year-old thoroughbred mare. I do a lot of my training with Sally Cousins, as well as with some additional help with Jimmy Walford and Linda Zhang. Here's a lesson with Sally earlier in the spring at one of my neighbors' farms who has an absolutely outstanding outdoor arena. It's really important with these young horses like Hoku to get them out and about as much as possible. Not necessarily in competitions, but in as many different venues as possible, since we spend a lot of our time schooling in the indoor. And while it is a lovely indoor, she's quite familiar with the jumps and familiar, obviously, with her home ring. I actually find riding in the indoor a bit tougher than riding in the bigger rings, and actually we jump a lot outside on the grass just because it requires a touch more rideability than I currently have. At first, being in the indoors nice just because you have the safety of the walls to contain you. But once you're past that stage, as we are here with Hoku, having such a big mare having to make the turns in the indoor is actually quite hard to get her straight and keep her forward. These videos are from one of our very first cross-country schools with Sally out at Fair Hill that we did in preparation for her first little mini horse trials. She was extremely good at this cross-country school, answered all the questions asked of her, and was very bold. But we did, however, let her inspect the fences before jumping them. And while I thought we were prepared and she had warmed up well, as you can see by her first fence at her little show, she went green on me, which is okay because she is green. We regrouped, represented, and I thought we were on our way and that maybe that was just first jump jitters that can often happen with young horses. This little event was at Fair Hill, where a lot of the recognized horse trials are held, and the show jumping can often actually ride harder than it looks. I think that we're doing well. She's now taking me down the lines and being her typical bold self when she stops a second time. With the second stop, I immediately readjust my plans and change the tack that I'm going to take and how I'm going to present these fences to her. She's just telling me that, without getting a chance to inspect the fence first, she needs a little bit more time before jumping the jump. So I decided to break it down, and no matter how good she feels in between the fences, I'm going to break her down to the trot and make sure she has enough time to really see the fence before jumping the fence. You might have noticed that after the first stop, I did smack her behind my leg because she had dropped behind my leg. But after the second stop, I didn't because she wasn't really being bad and she actually wasn't really lagging behind my leg as much as she was just being a green horse. And so I needed to change how I was riding her to give her the confident ride that she needed. But for this event and for cross country, I decided to stay at the trot. And if she pulled me into the canter right in front of the fence when we were locked onto the fence, I would just stay behind her, even if it meant getting a little left behind. As you can see by the rest of the video, the course improved. Her jumping got better and better, and I thought we were doing well, although I did think that I needed to maybe pull out some more white gates before the next show and get some more practice over those. After show jumping, we warmed up over some of the cross-country jumps, and she had been going well. And here we head out on her very first cross-country, where she immediately thinks about stopping at the first fence, and I stuff her over it because it is little enough. When fences are really small, I don't have a problem stuffing a horse over them, but that can backfire over you at times and actually undermine their confidence. So it's really a judgment call, and considering she had jumped a log bigger than the one next to it in warm-up, I had no problem stuffing her over that fence, and she continued on and got better and better. While this event was in late spring, early summer here in Pennsylvania, the weather's been quite schizophrenic, and it was quite cold and windy, and I discovered that Hoku's afraid of signs that blow in the wind. It surprised me because she's fine with flags, but apparently banners and signs are horse eaters. So we'll continue to work on that, I'm sure, for many events in the future. Back home, we continued schooling our coursework. She's gotten braver and bolder. The questions we're beginning to ask of her are slightly more technical. We've also added a flash noseband to our equipment. And even though the noseband was put on quite loose and is still quite loose, there is some adjustment period while she gets used to a new piece of equipment. In the end, I'm not really terribly concerned, as the rideability and the control for her is quite good for a 4-year-old. And in time, with more flat work and more strength, I'm sure it will get even better and better as she progresses in her training. And while we continue to be busy with Hoku's training as well as some of the other youngsters here at the farm, we've also been lucky to welcome 2 new additions, a little filly and a little colt that were recently born. Both were purpose-bred for eventing. It's always fun to watch these babies come to the ground and how quickly they grow and mature, particularly how big they're going to be. And it's a lot of fun to watch them grow up. The little filly here definitely has a little spitfire to her and a lot of opinions as well. Maybe one of you young folks will be riding her in the future, because I'm not too sure I want to sit on that one. But we'll continue on with Hoku and lots of hacking out and prep for her next event, which will be at Beginner Novice. And then hopefully Sally will take her out in one of the Young Event Horse qualifiers. Thank you for listening.